What is up, guys, and welcome to today's 1-minute clinic. And before we get started, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe so we can continue to grow and work on these collaboration videos with other channels. Also, if you want your question answered and turned into a 1-minute clinic video, comment what you want us to work on down below. Today's question comes from Jason Wong 5919. Great stuff, coach. Appreciate that. Can you do a clinic on one-handed backhand return, slice, drive, and chip? That is super simple, and it should take us not that much time. I'm going to break it into two parts, though, because I'm going to show you guys the technical parts of the actual shot itself, then add in the return of serve. So let's get 1 minute on the clock and get started with this week's 1-minute clinic. So the first thing we want to look at when we talk about the differences between the three shots are how big are our swings going to need to be, and then what's going to be the effect that we're looking for against our opponent. So for example, there's a difference when we go for the chip versus when we go for the slice. And obviously there's a difference when we go for the actual full swing backhand versus a chip or a slice. So looking at the swing from the side, I'm going to start with the two ones that people tend to get confused. If we look at the chip or the block for the backhand, the racket's going to go basically to our volleying position. So if we were at the net, we usually only go about 45 degrees here and here, which allows us to mainly get our body weight moving forward towards the court. So it will take the exact same volleying technique, and we're just going to add in footwork of taking a return of serve. So we have our little split forward and then go no bigger than here before we push out through the shot. On the slice backhand, the biggest difference is going to be the preparation. We're going to be allowed to take it further back because our goal is to create more spin. The block or the chip is to basically deflect pace, whereas the slice is to create more of a shot that we have control over. So for example, hitting a heavy slice where it glides low, or hitting an angle, or even hitting a slice lob, we're doing more within the technique of it because we're trying to impart our action on the shot, whereas blocking is more of a deflection. Interestingly enough, when we go for the drive on the backhand, meaning more of a topspin swing, you can kind of blend these two things again. Whereas if I go for a shorter return, where let's say somebody hits a big first serve to me, I could take my racket only about this far and then go really long and deflect that pace. Or I can, on a second serve, for example, make a bigger motion back before taking the rip. So those are going to be the technical aspects that are going to change from one shot to the other. Now, when we add in the return, the two things I try to tell people to do quickly: make sure you get your body weight going forward at least a little bit. And you can achieve that by readjusting your court position, for example. So let's say somebody's hitting a big serve. You would just step back a little bit, but still try to get your body weight moving forward. And if the serves are easier, just look to take a step in. Combine that with the fact that we are going to be trying to control those swings and control that timing on the swing. Then we look at what our goal is going to be on the return of serve. So now let's shift to having an actual server and look at the different ways to handle the skill. So when we add in an actual server, there's a couple things that you got to have to do. Now, if you're practicing returns, you have a little bit of control with this because you can tell the person what type of serve you want to work on. But let's say you're actually playing a match or a set or what have you. You're going to need to use the information that you've gotten from the warm-up and from the first few points or few games to kind of figure out where your baseline should be. So if I'm returning serve and I'm playing against somebody who has a pretty big serve, I might put myself farther back behind the baseline to start. That way I can get my body weight moving forward on the return. If I'm playing somebody that has a slightly weaker serve, I might set my baseline up as being about right here. Once you've figured out the average speed of the serve that you're going to be dealing with, that's when you're going to make your pre-decisions on what type of return you're going to try to use the most. I tend to go to a continental grip and go with the chips and the slices for the first point or two, just to make sure I'm getting those points started. And then once I've got my timing down, what I'll do is I'll take one step further back, give myself a little bit of extra time, and then I'll start going for my swings. And then from there, I'll start working my way back into the court to give the person on the other side less time. So I have Gerardo here, who's a pretty good server, and I'm actually going to let him serve however he wants. And I'm going to go through pretty much that same repetition. So I have no idea what serve he's going to use, but I know he's serving to my backhand. So I'm going to start about this far back and have my racket already in that continental grip. So just a simple chip to make sure I started out the point. I went from here, got my racket out, and I moved my body weight in. That serve right there is pretty comfortable for me. So the next step that I would do is probably go with the bigger slice. Step forward. Woo! That's pretty. You see what I mean? Getting that body weight in requires me to do less work with the hand. So that little extra step in allows just that little bit of control to come from the hand. So now that I've gotten a good read on the serve, unless he was going to change it, what I would try and do on the next one is shorten up the swing and just go for what I call like the half block, where you're in a normal swinging grip, but you set your racket in the same block position, and then you would just go out. There we go. And by taking that shorter swing, even though he pulled me out really wide, I was able to execute the swing really quick. Whereas if I had taken it all the way back here, I probably would have been late. Let's go for that again. That was actually really good. So I'm gonna go for the short swing and go out in front of me. That ball's actually moving pretty well. That's good. Do it again. Oh yeah, bring it. Split forward, reach out, make contact. And after you've gotten a good rhythm there, again, what I said was I would back up a little bit, give myself time to get the full swing going, and then once I feel comfortable there, then try to look to get a bigger step in. I'm gonna back up now and actually try and go for a full swing. There we go. So giving myself the time back here rather than keeping my ground in here and then just trying to build in the swing. Give myself time and then move back into the court. That's nice. There we go. Step forward, split. That's really all you're looking for. The main thing I always try to tell people is do it in stages. So start by being successful and then improve the shot quality. I start with the chip, then the slice, then the short swing, then the bigger swing. But I'm never giving up a lot of points consistently by trying to be stubborn and just say, I want to swing at all my returns, especially when I'm competing. If I was practicing, I might stick to one even though he's like serving super big at it. But if I'm not, and I'm in that match price situation, I would definitely try to make sure I'm fielding returns first, get a good rhythm, get comfortable, and then try to build that pressure on. But that's gonna wrap up the video for today. Jason, I hope that this video was helpful and answered all your questions. Remember guys, when you're doing this, go in phases, be comfortable chipping, then comfortable slicing, then comfortable taking short swings, then comfortable going with bigger swings. Segue through them, that way you're not giving up a lot of free points. Build your rhythm in, keep pressure off of yourself, make a lot of returns, and if there comes a point where that person is hitting a serve that's above your comfort level to use a certain one, that's completely fine. I think I planned on doing a return video pretty soon, but I'll give you guys a little sneak peek on it. There's a phase of play that you need to go through when you're returning serve. Step back, give yourself time, step forward, take time away. If you're giving yourself time, you're giving yourself time to execute bigger swings. If you're stepping back into the court, you're giving yourself less time unless you've built your timing in. So that's gonna wrap up today's video. As I said, if there's anybody that you know that would benefit from this stuff, please send it off to it. But until then, I will see you guys in the next one.